So, how long does it take for an international student coming to the UK to feel like they fit in to the local community or their school? Well, it greatly varies from one person to another, depending on lots of factors. And personally, I'd say that for myself, it probably took me around 2 months to be able to understand 90% of what my teachers were saying in lessons. Now, that's obviously only a small part of the daily communication that a student will have to have in the school. And I'd say that to be able to communicate with my friends fluently without any problem understanding their idioms or slangs probably took me all the way until first or second year of university. So it's a much longer journey. And the reason for that was that there was a cultural barrier that I needed to overcome, which is much harder than just the language one. For example, I come from China, from a background where the culture is heavily based on honor and shame. People do what brings honor to themselves, their families, their communities, etc. And they try very hard avoiding what brings shame. You might have heard the expression to lose face. That comes from a direct and literal translation from the Chinese term that means to bring shame or even disgrace to yourself or to your family. And unfortunately, people in this country don't necessarily think or do things in the same way because of the cultural differences. The British culture is more like what's based on innocence and guilt. People do what is right and they feel guilty when they do something wrong. And cultural differences can really influence every single aspect of your daily communication as an international student. I'm sure there are lots of great examples that can demonstrate the cultural differences and for you to learn about British culture, but I'll give you a short example. I went into my friend's room one evening in university and he had a cake on his desk and he offered me some of that. And we had a discussion about when people say, "Oh, I want to offer you some of my cake," do they really mean that or do they just say that to be polite? Because in British culture, if someone says, "Oh, please have some of my cake," you must say, no, it's your cake. Even though you might want the cake, you still want to be polite. You don't want to just go, "Oh, yeah, yes, please, thank you." So, you say, no, it's your cake. But then they'll say, no, I insist, you must have some. To mean, "Oh, actually, I'm not just saying that to be polite. I'm genuinely offering you some of the cake." And then at that point, you might be able to say, "Oh, actually, well, I do feel a little hungry, thank you very much," and then take some of the cake. Or you might go, "Actually, I'm fine, I don't want any cake." So what makes it easier for one to fit in then? Well, I believe the absolute key is that you need to be active and try new things. New ideas, concepts, cultures, friends, clubs, societies, so on and so forth. The earlier you get yourself immersed in that environment, the easier it gets in the long term. At the start, I know it's very tempting to stick to a group of friends from your own background or your own country and only speak your own language. I know it felt really easy to start with. But the actual fact is, that's going to make it so much harder for you to improve your English in the long term as well as fitting into British culture. Think of it like that. The more time you spend with your own friends from your own country speaking your own language, the more you feel distant to all the British people and their friendship groups. And you're less willing to try new things or accept new friends. And that makes you want to cling on to your own groups even more. So that's like a vicious cycle that you must not fall into. And it's absolutely fine if you're not naturally chatty or you feel a little bit nervous speaking to a stranger in a foreign country. We've all been through that. But the key here is really to be proactive and try new things and to seek every opportunity to get to know this country, to know the culture and get to know the language. Personally, I started having conversation with people when talking about football. I'm a fan of Arsenal Football Club. I watch a lot of Premier League matches. So when I came to this country, I can already find lots of friends who support the same football club as myself. and then we can watch maybe some matches together, and we can talk about the match. And from there, I could make friends. I could learn how to use my English to describe a football match. And I can pick up, pronunciations that, when people are commentating the football or even discussing the football match. I can learn so much from just wanting to have a conversation on football. And same goes to yourself. I bet that there's some topics out there that you will feel very happy to talk about with a stranger. Maybe it's something that you really enjoy doing, maybe it's a music or sport. Start with that and open up conversations, and it will get easier.